Today we're driving the 2021 GMC Yukon Denali, and if you may have noticed on startup, this is not a V8. It's the 3-liter Duramax diesel. It's an inline 6. It makes 277 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. That's mated to the same 10-speed automatic as the other Yukons. It's a pretty nice powertrain. We'll talk about it on the drive today, but for now, let's walk you around this new Denali. There's a lot to go over. This has been redesigned for the 21 model year. We've got a fantastic panoramic sunroof, captain's chairs in the second row, and a pretty spacious third row seating arrangement. You almost get about as much size and space in this thing as you would a minivan, but it's a body-on-frame SUV with independent rear suspension. This four-wheel drive variant achieves 20 miles to the gallon in the city and 26 on the highway, though we haven't had too much trouble beating those fuel economy numbers this week. If you want to see a detailed fuel economy test, head on over to the Daily Motor YouTube channel. So, starting from the rear here in this Yukon Denali, we've got a power liftgate and lots of space to put things. Maybe not as much space behind this third row as you would get in the XL, and that's why you would get the XL. Got a small amount of space back here and a very easy, user-friendly controls to fold the seats down right there. You can see lots of space. We'll lower that and show you guys what the second and third rows look like from the back here. So this Denali is equipped with the rear infotainment package, so you've got a couple of HDMI ports, and you can plug whatever you want in and connect and play and listen to it in this rear infotainment. Very useful. These rear seats are very comfortable, very nice. You can move them forward and back mechanically. No electronic adjustments there, just a double pull with this. You can easily slide that forward and get access to the third row. We'll fold this up so you guys can get an idea of what legroom is like. All very lightweight, easy to operate, and plenty of room back here. Very comfortable, especially with these captain's chairs. You've got this nice center area that's very open, and if you want to get out, escape, all you have to do, boom, you're ready. That's it. Easy. Fold that back a bit. You've got rear climate control, USB-C ports, heated rear seats, a plug outlet down there, and a USB-C port in the third row as well. With this panoramic sunroof. Pretty nice place to be inside this Yukon Denali. Quite an attractive looking interior. This Denali is the top trim, and it's priced at around $71,000 starting MSRP. You can get them as low as 50 grand, but that's with the base model, and there's some models in between. This one has about $11,000 worth of options on it, so it's around $82,000, which is not cheap, but this is a press car and they're usually pretty fully loaded. We have air suspension and magnetic ride control, which translates to really comfortable ride quality on the road. You can adjust the ride height right here along with your drive modes. So this is going to go up to the increased ground clearance setting. And I'm surprised at how quickly it raises up. It's pretty impressive. All four wheels at the same time, we're already up in a matter of seconds, and you've got a ton of ground clearance for off-roading. And when you air it down, listen to that. Pretty cool. All sorts of fun noises from the air suspension in this Denali. Let's look under the hood. I'll show you guys what this Duramax is like. This is actually an aluminum block instead of an iron block like you usually see with diesels. You get about 25% weight savings that way. The rear-wheel drive Denali is rated at 21 city, 27 highway, so you get slightly better fuel economy and towing ability with that vehicle. Payload is also slightly higher. 22-inch wheels, still rides well on these. And I think it's an attractive looking SUV. You hear the air compressor in there. It's very quiet. You don't hear it on the inside. Let's take a look around the interior here and talk about what I like. I like that there are lots of buttons and knobs and switches. Not a lot of controls hidden in the menus, buried in the infotainment. This is a very easy, modern SUV to live with and to use. The ergonomics here are fantastic. When GM does buttons and knobs and switches, they do it really well. I can see everything. You have a ton of controls over here, from your parking sensors, on and off switch, to your auto stop start, your hill descent control, your head-up display. You can raise and lower that, change what you can see. There are a few different drive modes, but you can select over here with this switch: normal, sport, off-road, tow, haul. Very cool. And then of course you've got your gauge cluster illumination, your parking brake. The windows are all auto down, but only the fronts are auto back up. This button gear selector is kind of interesting. I like the design of it, and I actually like using it in the real world in practice. It's not as difficult to use as you may think. It's very intuitive, and you don't really confuse which is which because all the buttons are nicely separated, so you're not accidentally going into reverse instead of neutral or vice versa. You do have a low range gear down here where you can select gears manually. It's kind of weird instead of using paddles, but it works for those rare instances when you need to downshift, maybe going down a mountain pass, whatever. Buttons and knobs for climate control, heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheels right there, a couple of cup holders here, and wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can all hide that right under there, which looks very nice. Little cigarette lighter port, and a home button. You have a home in this. People are starting to get rid of home buttons. I don't like that. The only thing I do wish that they did have a button for, a physical button for, is the camera. It's kind of useful to see in front of you, behind you. This has a beautiful 360 camera. So we put it in reverse, and you look at, let's see, where's our above view here? Yeah, there we go. We can get our 360 camera, reverse, or going forward. It's nice just to be able to see over this massive hood what's directly in front of you. My only complaint with this screen is that this is a pretty typical GM thing they've been doing in Cadillacs and Chevrolets and GMCs for years. The contrast ratio at an angle is not awesome. It just cheapens the look and feel of the screen. I think you can probably see it the easiest in Apple CarPlay in Waze. So it's kind of faded, and head-on it looks a lot better. So the viewing angle kind of sucks, but I wish GM would do something to put a slightly higher quality screen in these vehicles. And that said, though, the response time and everything else in this is great. Everything seems to integrate very nicely, and I like that you have a home button. So one really cool feature about this Denali that I knew about but didn't know exactly where it was or what it was this has a hidden compartment somewhere in the interior. And GM likes to do this. They like to hide it behind the infotainment screen or somewhere else random. And I was kind of stumped for a little bit. I knew where the controls were. They were right up here near the sunroof controls. So I'll give you guys just a second to guess where that hidden compartment is in the front seating area. All right, get your guesses in. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Look at that. Pretty cool. So you've got this little cubby down here to put stuff. Lots of space for activities. And if you need to slide it back and conceal this little cubby, all you do is press this button back up here, and it slides back in very dramatic fashion. Kind of cool, and also makes the cup holders more accessible to the rear passengers. Pretty cool for road trips if you've got like a trash bag or other things that you need to tote around in the front seats. Otherwise, standard glove boxes and cup holders and all sorts of other stuff. No major surprises here. So before we get going on our drive today, I would like to thank our sponsor, a new sponsor for the channel, Off the Record. And I'm very excited about these guys because we needed them a few weeks ago. A couple people I work with got a couple of speeding tickets the same day in the same city, and Off the Record got both of their moving violations reduced to non-moving violations. I like that Off the Record has attorneys pretty much all over the country. They have about a 90% coverage in all metropolitan areas, and that's always getting better and better by the day. You can go on a road trip, get a ticket, and you don't have to go back to wherever you got the ticket to fight it. Off the Record will find you an attorney in that area and either try to get your ticket completely dismissed or reduced to a non-moving violation, and they have a very high success rate. If they don't succeed, you get your money back, which is fantastic. I would highly recommend just registering for the app, getting on there. Even if you don't have any current tickets, it's good to have an account. Use my discount code, TheTopher, for 10% off, and yeah, drive safe out there, but you never know when you might need it. All right, guys, let's take this Yukon Denali for a drive, because that's really where it shines. This is all sorts of nice, cool stuff on the interior, but let's take this thing on the road and see what it's like behind the wheel. We get a nice digital mirror back there, which is very useful for when the third row is up. And as you can hear, this is a very quiet and smooth diesel engine. Gone are the days where diesels are these clattery, smelly, sooty, noisy messes. This is such a refined, modern-feeling engine. Interestingly enough, this is the exact same 10-speed that's in the V8 variants. You also get the 6.2 or the 5.3-liter V8s as options in this Yukon Denali. The 6.2 is a pretty awesome engine. We had that in the Escalade that we tested a few months ago. Great on power. But for daily driving, for long distance trips, for towing, this diesel is pretty hard to beat. It's very fuel efficient. Been averaging around 23 miles to the gallon combined with a lot of city driving, which is very impressive. And on the highway, around 27, 28. It's very torquey for just normal driving. Again, not a fast engine at all. It's only 277 horsepower, but that 460 pound-feet of torque goes a long way and gets you up to speed comfortably and quickly enough. And this 10-speed is just so smooth. GM has done a really good job with the tuning and the R&D with these transmissions. They are just a pleasure to drive. Very nice turning radius for a big body-on-frame SUV. Let's do a quick 0 to 60 here. We'll turn off traction control. I mean, it takes its sweet time. It's not quick, but if you're being honest, who's hustling their GMC Denali around town flat out? And if you need the power, it's there. You can pass cars. You can get up to speed on the highway. I've never felt like this is too slow this week. But on a daily basis, this is a very efficient and nice to drive engine. I like it a lot. Let's talk about handling and ride quality and suspension, because this new Denali has independent rear suspension, air springs, magnetic ride control. There's a lot of good stuff going on here, and it translates to a very comfortable, luxurious ride. Bumps, you don't notice them. Potholes, doesn't care. Even on these 22-inch wheels, the ride quality is excellent, and the handling is quite good too. The suspension dynamics of this Yukon really shrink the size, or the perceived size, of the whole vehicle. This is a big SUV, and it doesn't necessarily feel that cumbersome to drive around. And one telltale sign of that I always use as a nice gauge is if I've been driving a car all week and I see myself taking it on a lot of short errands or journeys, or just using it for all of my needs instead of driving my own personal vehicles, my 4Runner or my Volvo, I see that as, hey, this would be a really good daily driver in a vehicle that's easy and nice to live with. And I've exclusively been driving this Yukon Denali all week. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend one of these if you're just a single person and you want a big SUV. Buy one of these and use it for towing things and hauling people, and don't go out and get a big SUV if it's just you and one other person in your life. Go use it and utilize its capability. Brake pedal feel is nice. The pedal is firm. There's none of that wonky SUV overboosted brake pedal feel. Initial bite can be a little bit light sometimes, but the deeper you get into this pedal, the more braking force you get out of it. And there's a lot of braking force. This thing really comes down from speed quickly. Wonder what sport mode does. Probably not much. Let's do a quick braking test. Yeah, very impressive. I'll put it back in the normal. I don't really notice the difference between sport and normal. The off-road setting, though, would probably be pretty useful with traction control and low grip scenarios. Let's try this low gear here, downshifting from speed. It's weird just pressing a button to downshift, but it's pretty responsive, seems to work quite well. Pull the D to get it back into drive. This inline-six Duramax sounds fun. It's a cool engine. It's a little bit different. I mean, it's not like your clattery four-cylinder, or, you know, it's not as nice as a V8, but I like it. It's a good, comfortable, easy-to-drive powertrain that I've really enjoyed living with all week. And you save $1,500 compared to the other powertrains on this, except for I think the base 5.3 liter. I'm not exactly 100% sure on the pricing of all this stuff, but I know that the diesel knocks $1,500 off the price of most of these Yukons, and this Denali is definitely one of them. I think if you are doing a lot of long distance driving, you're really going to be racking the miles on your Yukon Denali. The diesel's the way to go. If you're going to be towing, doing long road trips, you're going to want that extra savings from the fuel economy, and you get a ton of range out of this thing too. With the fuel tank size, this can achieve about 750 plus miles to a tank, which is really, really impressive. Yes, diesel fuel is a little bit more expensive than regular gasoline, but overall, I think you're going to see a few $100s worth of fuel savings per year, depending on how much you drive with this diesel, on top of the initial savings on purchase. We'll turn traction control back on here and see what this is like on the highway. I'll give you guys an example of passing power here. We've got some slower vehicles ahead of us. Flat out, it gets the job done. There's just constant torque that just sticks with you no matter how fast you go. It never really pulls that strong, but like I said, it works. So getting up to speed here, cruise control, I love this button layout. It's so easy to use and easy to operate. You can skip 5-mile-an-hour increments by holding the button. Radar cruise works great. You can cancel it and use traditional cruise by holding this button right there. You can set your following distance with that, your gap adjust. It's a smooth system, no harsh braking or weird things when people cut you off. Lane keep assist works pretty well for a lane keep assist system. Again, it's just gonna bounce you between the lines. Really, it's not gonna keep you perfectly centered in the lane. This is not super cruise like what Cadillac has. Pretty rudimentary system, but for what it is, it's pretty nice. At speed, we don't have a lot of wind noise, not a lot of tire noise. Again, NVH is fantastic. All week, I haven't noticed too many rattles in this interior either. A couple little from the rear seating area, but that's pretty common in any vehicle with foldable seats that move around and 3 rows and all that stuff. So this has been a very quiet vehicle to live with. Dash feels very well bolted together. Everything's really nice and solid. No complaints. The materials feel great. The steering wheel leather is very soft and supple. Overall, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this SUV. Besides the screen and just the fact that it's a big SUV. I mean, you're not going to want to take this to downtown and park it into a tight parking garage or parallel park it on the street. It's just big and cumbersome, and if you don't need the size of this thing, go for something a little bit smaller and more manageable. I think you'll be happier and better off for it. All right, guys, well, that's going to be the end of the review portion of this video. If you want to listen to the Bose sound system, stay tuned, and we'll give you guys some examples of what that's like with our sound test playlist. talk today. Love how these running boards just fold out and present themselves to you. They make getting in and out super easy. Here's the key fob. We've got remote start, buttons to raise the lift gate. Oh, and I forgot to show you guys, this also has a, you can open this rear window. It's been in these for ages, but give you a little bit of quick access to the rear area. All right, let's listen to this Bose sound system. Summer videos only get one heel click because there's no salt on the ground. Sorry, stay tuned for winter for more heel clicks. Oh yeah, gotta press the start button after remote start. Got the GMC logo, the gauge sweep. All right, we are connected to Apple CarPlay. Let's go into our music. Cool. We do have volume and track selection controls behind the steering wheel, which is very nice. Put it into sport mode just for fun, see what happens. Probably affects the magnetic ride control. Awesome handling for an SUV this size. What do you guys think? Should we listen to Pink Mirrors today? Let's sneak it in. It's been a while. pretty good at mid to low volume. Once you get in the higher volumes, it gets a little bit muddy. But overall, this is a pretty nice Bose sound system. All right, guys, we'll wrap things up there. If you're still watching, thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to fight your tickets with Off the Record. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.